Thank you. My question was for you in terms of your visit to Rheinhessen, and you mentioned the number of no-load bottles that one particular company were producing. Where were they selling their product?
So they actually have huge international markets, although they're actually out-competed, if that's the correct word, within Germany themselves by another producer also making zero alcohol sparkling. So the market is right there and ready to be sold some product.
Brendan, while you've got the microphone in your hand,
Yes.
Where do you start in the Riverland to do what they are doing where you visited? Where is it? I mean, is
Simple.
there...
So simple. We just need to understand where the viticultural assets are. That's what you sell. You sell the place. You sell the thing that's embedded in the place. And at the moment, when we're offering up money for growers to exit the industry, they're going to preference the vines that are yielding the least amount, which tend to be actually the old vines. So currently, in our estimates, we've been chasing this for the last 8 months, I reckon we've probably lost close to about 20% of all old vines beyond 50 years, not the OIV's 35-year, in the Riverland so far.
Biggest challenge is obviously, as you said, the cultural challenges and the cultural differences that you need to find between different aspects of the wine industry in the Riverland, don't you? And the older growers, the bulk growers, and the premium growers.
Well, they need to see that it can be done. That's what they need to see. They need to see proof it can be done. So we're kind of lucky in this respect where we have a very clear-cut comparison of same rainfall, same soil type, same age of vine, as well as same age of soil, where the disparity between what the Swartland was, which is everything less than $10 a bottle and not a single bottle exported, 15 years later, where you've got some of the most expensive bottles of wine in South Africa from that particular region.
Wow, okay. Good luck. Great challenge.
For the last 10 years.
That's right, yeah.
No, this will be your first time. Hey, let's get it first.
But great, really interested in the experience that you had in South Africa. This is also something that I teach to my students when I teach about direct wine marketing and cellar-door management. I guess then my question is, what is that we are missing in South Australia to make an offer for tourists, for visitors, whether domestic or international, to say, here's a program to visit 5 of the most amazing wineries in South Australia, and this is 3 days, and it's going to be the best time of your life.
I think that's a really difficult question. How do you even choose which regions to go and visit? It's an interesting one because I think, going to South Africa, everyone goes to Stellenbosch. That's the first one you go to. And for them, they're trying to attract people to spend the day. Whereas going to the smaller places, they're promoting to visit a number of little places. What they're doing over there is being true to themselves, but they're also thinking out of the box. They're not sitting down with just a wine tasting and here's a wine and here's the story behind it. They're going the extra mile. And I think that's something that I've definitely picked up with the experiences I got and the people I got to speak to, is that their passion comes through with every single tasting that they're offering, but they're not just sitting back. There's always something new happening, and they always have something planned. They know what they've got ready for the next experience, for the next summer, next whatever is happening. So they don't sit back and, I guess, rest on their laurels. They're always moving forward. So I guess that's the biggest takeaway, and something I've realised I need to make sure I'm doing with my team, is always moving forward.
Other questions? I can race this down to you through the middle there. Chris Lloyd.
Probably because you can milk them. Oh, that's another story. But I guess just the sheer number of sheep that we have, not only in the state but in the country, this concept that you discovered, I find it really fascinating. And, I just feel like, is that something that can just be rolled out basically nationwide? And surely, as they walk, they fertilise.
There's so many parts to this answer, and it's extremely hard to try to summarise everything within 3 minutes as well. There's a lot of science and data and that behind it. The first thing, I suppose, is a lot of people don't realise that sheep in a vineyard are actually nutrient exporters. So although they eat and then they go to the toilet afterwards, they actually use more growing wool. And if you're lambing in your vineyard as well, you've got a lot of energy resources going into that. So if that nutrient loss has been measured properly over the last couple of years, over a historical period, you can actually see it happening. And then we've got a lot of issues around vine health, yan implications as well from a winemaking perspective. Being based down in the Limestone Coast, we have a lot of people that are mixed enterprise, so they have sheep, cattle, cropping, so it's quite easy for them to move sheep in and out of a vineyard. Average vineyard size is probably 50 hectares. For that to apply there, we need to be almost setting up our vineyards into like a cell grazing management system. So we need to be going down to 2 hectare blocks within a 50 hectare vineyard. There's a lot of infrastructure in and around that. And then the management of the sheep for it to be grazed effectively and to look at the carbon sequestration side of things and that as well. So look, it can be rolled out nationally. There's a lot of work behind it, a lot of data. At the moment, one of the biggest sticking points and issues with grazing any vineyard in southern Australia is the drought. It's absolutely, it's pretty horrendous out there at the moment. And it's not just a case too of rain today, we're good to go tomorrow. It takes weeks and months for our grasses and pastures and that to grow back. So, but yeah, I'd love to see something like that rolled out nationally. A lot of work and data and numbers and that behind it. It could be an absolute game changer, especially from a carbon sequestration point of view as well. And then also the reporting in and around to Sustainable Wine Growing Australia, compare yourself to your peers and, help the environment.
Question up the back here.
Kate, to you. With sparkling wines being one of the larger categories of imports into the Australian market with both Prosecco and Champenoise producers, where do you sort of see Cava-style sparkling wines coming into the Australian category? Is it more of a mid-tier, premium tier? And do you think that there's what's the size of the opportunity there?
I'm always about premium tier, especially with just the sparkling wine. And that was really the objective of why I went across, because I do think that there's more opportunity in South Australia to harness this category. And there's a lot of supply of red wine in the country, and if you can repurpose your Grenache if it's in the right site, you can keep up, you can change trends faster. But I do think quality is the only way to go. There's enough cheap sparkling wine out there globally. I mean, Champagne itself is only about 12% of the global market, but they hold quality and price point. And I think South Australia could easily come up with its own signature sparkling wine personality. But I would always stick around quality to make sure that we maintain price, because it's not cheap to make and it hurts the hands.
Okay, more questions. Great. I'll get Chester first.
This is back on the sheep lover, please. I don't know whether you're from New Zealand or not, but my experience with sheep is it actually decreased carbon in the soil. And I just wondered, in their experiments that they did there, were they proper scientific experiments, replicated, and whatever, and done the proper way? Because were they vineyards that maybe were cultivated for a long time, and then they went, let's just let it grow, and then see, and you just naturally would increase carbon just by doing that.
Yeah, you're correct on a lot of points there, Chester. Thank you. What can we say about this? Look, Hawke's Bay, Giblet Gravels, one of the youngest soils in the world there. Very low or no organic matter as well. So just by being able to change their sheep practices, did rapidly build that organic matter as well. They weren't replicated trials by any means. It's just purely looking at a regenerative grazing, so that really short period of grazing, so 2 to 3 days, and then a really long period of rest. If the vineyard isn't being grazed properly, you will see a degradation in and around that. There's no denying that happening. So it really does come back to the management. For that to happen, quite a high input from a labour point of view, for sure. And what else could I add? And as well, I suppose, too, with your cover crop mixes and those sorts of things as well, that does aid a fair bit in regards to building that organic matter compared to a traditional ryegrass mid-row and that as well. So there is a bit of quite a bit of decision making and management in and around that to, create a relatively quick response in a short period of time. I think a lot of people, if you could increase your organic carbon by half of 1% on a yearly basis and do that into the foreseeable future, just by changing management practices and just setting up some good infrastructure, I think most people will be pretty happy with that.
Thanks, Tony. Firstly, this is an incredibly diverse range of really, really interesting projects. So congratulations to the selectors, the selection process, and each and every one of you. I think it's really, really... It's a really, really valuable seed for each of you, but also the industry. So my question is twofold. Firstly, have all or any of you put it on paper, or do you have a clear plan about what next? And if so, what do you need from industry participants, the industry, the association and government to turn that into something real for the industry?
I get that. Open up all the data within the SA phylloxera board so we have access to where every wine already is and make it public domain. That'll fix it. My problem anyway. We need to find out where all the old vines are. We need a record, or at least incentivise the large companies to open up their little black book so we can all get access to it. Yeah, that'll work too.
Any others?
For Nolo, industry needs to be innovating and trialling and creating. Don't wait until there's huge infrastructure in place. You can innovate a lot faster than I can publish research, and our teams can publish research, so don't be shy. Ask questions. We're happy to answer as many questions as you want across the entire NOLA research team at the Adelaide Business School and the Australian Wine Research Institute and many of our partners as well, so get involved.
Could I add to the NOLO thing? Change the taxation so we can decrease the wet taxation access to lower than 9% alcohol would be nice. So we're not taxing it under excise. That way it'll actually compete on price point and drive consumers to it.
I think there's a great opportunity for the whole industry to look at promoting the social aspect of the sustainability certification. I think that's where we have to really all work together to lift that aspect of our SWA program.
And from the point of innovative practices, rolling out extension programs so we can actually convince and demonstrate to our growers what's the benefit of adopting those practices, of walking that extra mile to get to like carbon farming practices, or doing different things that will help their business, but also will increase the sustainability of the whole industry.
Thank you. I think that's a fantastic way to wrap up the questions time. And like I said before, amazing detail that each one of you has to offer any other further detailed questions, both individually here but also later on as well. Can I just say thank you so much for all your work and your wonderful presentations, and repeat what Jeremy said, a great opportunity to move forward with what you have found out and what everyone else can learn from you.